Here we go, baby girl.
Here we go, baby girl.
Here we go.
Trishbrina Show.
Here we go.
It's August 15th, right? And
Episode 15.
it's episode 15. And
It's a thing.
It's a really, really, really special day. Do you know
That's
why?
Right.
Because it's somebody's birthday.
It's a birthday. But he's not 15. How old are you today, mister?
He's 10.
Is he 10?
He's
You don't
10.
look 10. You don't look 10 at all.
Happy birthday, Mr. Winston.
Can you believe that? I can't believe how fast 10 years can go by. Welcome, everybody, to the Trishbrina Show.
If he was a child, we'd have like a middle schooler.
This is going to be a juicy topic today. Oh boy, it's not even a topic. It's more like a debate. I think it's our second debate.
It is, and we're really looking forward to those of you who are attending live,
Yes.
getting your input, and those
Definitely.
of you that watch on replay, because this is a topic without a resolution.
True that, because there's many varying opinions about this, and they're all good, and we can't wait to hear what you have to say. But I just need you to know that I've got some special glasses today that I stole from Sabrina, and they've become my new favorite glasses. How about that?
Look in the camera so they can see.
Where'd it go? Huh?
I don't know if you, when I bought them because they're, show them up here, they're snazzy.
Oh, that's going to be out of focus.
Oh. They're multicolored.
Like
And
me. I'm
from the
multi-passionate.
day that he put them on, he didn't know what they looked like. He just was like, I can see really clearly, and
They're
these
great lenses.
fit well. And can I have these? I'm like, sure.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Bonnie. Hi, Susan. Hi, Nelta. Thanks for joining us. We so appreciate your energy being here with us. Yes, snazzy. That would be the word. Keyword snazzy.
That's a good name.
All right.
Snazzy.
This is our 15th show. We're super stoked to be bringing these to you, and the feedback's been really great. And I think today, when we dig in, which will be starting just one momento, is going to really provoke you to think a little bit about words and vibration and energy. That's kind of our jam. We love energy. We love
and
talking.
jelly.
We like jelly too.
Our peanut butter.
Love peanut butter.
Almond butter.
Our dogs love peanut butter. That's true. Anyway, to get to the point, do you want to dig in and tell us what we're doing today?
Well, there was two situations that sort of provoked what we're going to talk about today, and it's how we're dealing with some things, organizing some things, thinking about some things, contemplating as far as our personal lives and our business and how we communicate, judgments that other people are going to have on us because of certain decisions we make. It's a big
conversation.
And it really has to do with words.
Yes.
And do words have meaning?
Yes.
Or does vibration have vibration and words are just frosting and have no meaning? And all the variations on that, on choosing words or using words.
Yes. You know, some people use profanity, and to them it's just a word.
And then what is that? What is profanity to one person compared to
Other
another
people just get super offended by certain words. They feel that it's unintelligent, which often it can be, I think. But what's the judgment, right? So trying not to be judgmental here. I grew up differently. I'm going to do my best. I grew up in a different environment than Sabrina, so our backgrounds and our vernacular
parents
is very different. Now, we actually use what your parents call potty mouth. We have a little potty mouth that happens around the house. Not like a deliberate, like we're trying to be rude.
Well, I grew up where I'm going to say the words.
Say it.
If you had flatulence and you called it a fart, that was a bad word.
Really?
Yeah.
Fart.
You couldn't say fart either. You could say poot.
Oh.
I just pooted.
That's worse than fart.
Poot. So it's like that was what was defined as okay. Or like some people, if it's like, I'm going to pee, if they say I'm going to take a...
Tinkle.
Tinkle's okay, but I'm going to take a piss. That's really raunchy. So, but for some people, that's actually what it's called, right?
Yeah.
And so then I'm around people and they're saying fart. And I'm like, well, that's just terrible. And they're like, no, that's what it's called. So a lot of it is just what your upbringing and what category it was placed in.
That's
and
right.
then as you get older, there's more words.
There are words, many words. So I grew up in Malibu, California, and there were a lot of friends that were surfer dudes, and we said certain words that you've probably said. Many of you might just have them in your vernacular already, and it doesn't really mean anything to you.
Or you don't, because you're a good person and you don't
good people don't say bad words. Well, let's just talk about words for a minute and how they're used today.
Yeah.
That's kind of a little like if you didn't speak English as your first language and you came to America and you listened to some of the TV shows and some of the younger generation, you'd be really confused.
Mm-hmm.
Like people might say, "That's sick, man." That's like, what? Sick? Dude, that is ill.
Or to say dude to a woman.
Man, you are killing it.
Yeah.
You're crushing it.
Yeah.
Those can sound like really negative words.
Or I wrote one down because it was like, you could say, that smells awfully delicious. Awfully delicious. Right? So words change meanings over the years, and words that may have been seen as vulgar can also be seen as funny. And I actually have a lot of friends, international friends, or friends that grew up using words that I didn't grow up using. And I'm sort of numb to it now when they use like the word that sounds a lot like duck. And I hear it so much that it doesn't mean anything to me now, where before that really caused a reaction in me. So the conversation that I think is super interesting
put that away from the mic.
is because if I have a reaction, whose reaction is it?
Yours.
It's mine. It's totally my reaction to what someone else said. And so when I flip that around and I'm the one saying a word that's causing a reaction in someone else, I can say, that's their problem. And then again, if I know that someone had some kind of abuse around buttons, the word button. Yeah, like maybe they were abused because somebody threw buttons at them.
I hate the word button.
Then I could, out of a really kind and loving place, choose to not say the word button because I don't need to trigger that thing in them.
True that.
And then is that right action? Is it right action to monitor myself?
Do you have a resolution on this? Where have you landed? And what about you guys as you're hearing this? We're seeing some feedback already about profanity.
Well, let's just tell them why we are having this discussion and be really honest about it.
I don't want to be honest. Okay, let's be honest.
So
this is good. This is really, it provoked a great debate.
Yeah, so I was at a mastermind with just some amazing people, and this one woman in particular that she is just such a genius, and I watched her speak on stage, and she's helped so many coaches, teachers, healers, small business owners take their business to 6 figures and to 7 figures.
She's lovely.
And she's just so full of energy and so vivacious and so outside the lines. She's so free to be herself. I admire that about her.
You better say her name now after you gave her all that cred.
Okay.
She's awesome.
Her name is Lisa Cherney.
Lisa, we love you.
And she invited both of us to be guests on her podcast. But the podcast has a potty word in the title. And it's called Get Freaking Real. And now it's just called Get Real. And then there's an F and some like punctuation.
Bleep it out.
And so we're trying to share it with our tribes. And we know that some people in our tribes are going to have issue with just the title of the podcast. And yet the reason that she's doing it is from such a beautiful place of saying, we admire these people making all this money. We admire these celebrities. We admire this person. Let me interview them about what happened to them to get them to that place.
Let's get real.
And it is so amazing, the stories that she's telling. There was one girl that had been kidnapped as a child and held hostage, and just to and so it's really about being real instead of just saying they have it all. Like, what happened to them for them to grow into who they are? But our dilemma.
Well, hold on. So she wanted to have a word that was an interruption, like a pattern interrupt. And some people use words that we're right now saying is profanity or potty words, right? That cause a reaction, sometimes a startle, sometimes to some people. And others would be just like, oh, that's a normal everyday word. The F word for some people is just part of their languaging, right? Like it comes out of my mouth sometimes and I don't even know that I've said it.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with that word and it didn't really have the same
meaning. It's all
meaning.
where we draw the line.
So I actually used that word in our podcast, which I don't normally use.
So when Lisa
I'm not using it right now,
was interviewing with him, that word came out.
And part of the conversation sometimes with that podcast is to let's get effing real, right? And so it kind of just came out. And then I thought later, well, our audience may not like that word, and this may
not like you saying it because
that
of who
too,
they want
because
you to
of
be.
My character, right? So is it wrong action?
So
it gets complicated. Is that right action? Like
We've had such
if I say that word around the house, and maybe you guys are getting some cool ideas right now about like how you handle this, but I might say that, and she wouldn't even blink because even Sabrina, honestly, you said that word around the house too.
No.
Yes, you have. But we don't even think twice about it. It's just sort of like it's an adjective.
Well, it's a consonant, right? Because I can say luck, duck, pluck. But if I change the first consonant, it's so terrible. So I was saying when we were walking, this has been like a big conversation for us. Basically, we're cavemen, and we started grunting, right? And then we decided certain grunts mean certain things. Language is born. Oh, if I grunt like this, it's good. And if I grunt like that, it's bad. So I started Googling it. And I found a bunch of studies that showed where using profanity is so good for your brain.
Good for your brain.
Good for your brain.
There we go.
And psychologically healing. And I found just as many studies that says that it isn't. But what it does do is usually light up the language center of the brain and the emotional center. But here's what's really super cool. I don't even think I told you this.
Tell me.
Now, National Geographic, right? Not the National Enquirer. National Geographic they were doing a study with monkeys. And they wanted to teach them language. And they taught it through sign language. And so they were bringing them in the house to potty train them. And so they showed this meant I want to go outside and poop, right? So this basically meant poop. It meant S-H-I-T, right? So when the monkeys needed to go out, they would go like this. But these monkeys, and you can Google this, like I'm not making it up, I read it online, and
therefore it must
over
be
and
true.
over and over, they started going like this when they needed to go out. But because they had to go outside to do that, the monkeys knew like there was something bad about it or not pretty or not nice. So after a little while, when the monkeys would get frustrated with the trainers and the other monkeys, they started going like that.
Really?
Yes.
That's their way of saying screw. Really?
Yes.
So they found
not
a way to
only
language
that,
it.
the monkeys' children's children, every time they started getting mad, were going like that.
Really?
And sometimes multiple times and harder.
Wow.
The more emotion they were feeling. And they were saying that it was a stress relief and a
gesture.
A gesture that was trying to say what I feel.
Mm. Well, that's where
Isn't that fun? I mean,
that's fascinating.
We should
truly.
call this.
And now I know I got a new move. I got a new move.
Monkey cursing.
Or you're going to go open the back door and go potty outside. So where I got to with this is your character's important, right? Like the way you represent yourself, especially if you're in the professional arena, it's important how you represent yourself. Now, there are some people I know that they use profanity deliberately and their audience likes it.
Yeah.
So there's a congruence and it doesn't upset or perturb.
Yeah, that's who you're talking to.
And so vibrationally for them, whether you agree or I agree or we don't, that's all fluid for them and it doesn't create a reaction. But if your audience, and you know your audience well enough that it causes a reaction like buttons, then why do that? Mm-hmm. Unless you're trying to provoke something on purpose. So it has to do for me with intention. Where am I coming from? And if I'm going to activate something within a person that's harmful, I don't want to do it. So I always ask, is this helpful or is this harmful? Now, it is a vibration, and words have, like if you study Dr. Emoto's work and how you put like particular words, it's really the intentions and the vibration in the words. Mm-hmm. But you can see how water crystals form, and they show you the offness, if you will, and the crystals get all distorted when we use words like hate or profanity. But if I do this, and you're looking at that like the monkey, you might look at that and say, that's aggressive. He's being aggressive. And yet in my mind, I'm like, you cutie little thing, right? And someone can give you a hug, something that seems so loving, but in their mind, they're like, I fucking hate this person, right? So is the physical gesture and the word alone what is the true vibration? I don't think so. I think it has to do with where you're vibrating that matters the most.
Yeah, when I was in New York City and I trained at the neighborhood playhouse and I studied, it was the Meisner technique. And Meisner's a lot to explain, but let's just say that it's about getting the emotional river flowing, the feeling flowing, and you lay the words on top of it. So a common exercise that they would have us do, which was just amazing, would be to do a love scene, but the words were all like, I hate you, I can't stand you, I wish you were dead. Those were the words, but it was a love scene to help us as actors not be so shallow as to try to make the words the important thing, but to get into the feeling of the love. And then they did the opposite, where when you were really angry and in a fight and the bickering, but the dialogue and the script that they gave us was very compassionate and loving, and words that were bonding. And so it really taught me to separate that words are nothing and words are everything, depending on the meaning that we put on them. Totally. Like for me, the word love moves me. The word Winston, right? Little 10-year-old Winston sitting here. He has to have his own chair.
Put on it.
That word Winston, just my heart opens and melts.
But to someone else who knew a Winston, it might make them shudder.
Yeah.
Right?
Think about it. What about like that kid in high school that you couldn't stand? And then maybe you're pregnant and somebody goes, why don't you name the kid Ricky? And you're like, no, not Ricky. Because you remember Ricky
your
from high school.
So we've got to own our reactions at the end of the day. Someone said something that is sweet. They're like, Sensei, you be you. We love you. We still love you both. I think you should be you, for sure. And I have no problem with certain words. There's some words that I have a big reaction and I will not use them.
Or when people are, it's like, sometimes it's almost like, how many times can I say the F word in 1 minute? And it's just like...
Well, some people just throw it in and it's unconscious behavior. Yeah. And I don't like unconscious behavior. For me, I want to be conscious and mindful of what I'm saying. But I will tell you this, something I've studied in marketing and in how to make friends and influence people. You find a way of entraining yourself to their body language, to their vernacular, to their all, right? And that's how you create this cohesive connection. But, part of that's manipulation too, right? Part of that is trying to fit in and try to, get up so that they like you. Like, why would you be doing that? And so sometimes...
We see you guys popping in.
Yeah,
hi, Tracy
hi,
and Trudy.
Sometimes in marketing, people say, well, write in a certain way, speak in a certain way that your audience will relate to you.
Speak in their language.
But don't be inauthentic to who you are, right? Mm-hmm. Don't try to be something for someone else that's not your truth. So that's what I've landed on, that is like, you know what? When I shared my heart and my story, and even though that word came through, the vibration of where I was at wasn't to be rude. It wasn't to be vulgar. I knew that audience actually kind of probably liked that word. And it was like, yeah, man, let's get effing real. And so the energy of that felt right to me. So if we share this with you, just know that that's where I was coming from. But now being more mindful of who else might hear it, I might choose not to say that word because I want to be consciously aware of how it hits and lands on people. So that's just me trying to be as mindful as I can and loving, but I might use the word around the house or with certain friends. And
Or
I'm
is
not
it
just talking about the F word
sometimes
right now.
just funny to be funny?
It might be effing funny. Right. That is so
And
effing funny.
so Tristan's interview was maybe a month before mine. So I had already, heard his interview, and I'm like, oh no, you said that word and twice, and I don't know how to mail it, and is it going to upset some people that have an idea that we are so about love and connection to God and source, and for those people, they're going to have a judgment on that word. And I have a few things to say. Number one, I don't know of a commandment that says thou shalt not say duck, right? Don't know that. And so, or anything like that. But the other thing is, I had to think about it for myself. And I have said words to be cool.
To fit in?
To fit in, yeah, because I've never really felt cool.
Your dad just commented something, just
No
so you know.
way.
Yeah, he said he loves that you're making that choice. To be cool. Oh,
No, probably to not say it.
Your dad doesn't like profanity words.
No.
He doesn't use them.
No, my parents, they really don't care for them. Every now and then, if a little one like the S word slipped out, that would be funny. But it's funny because it's rarely said. If you say it all the time, it's not funny anymore. But for me, like, I smoked a cigarette to be cool and fit in, or maybe, all the things that you do to be cool, to be a badass, even that, right?
That would be a bad word.
Yeah.
For in Sabrina's book.
Mm-hmm.
You're more comfortable with it now.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever said it on camera before.
I think Sabrina's a badass, just so you know.
And so for me to say a bad word during my interview felt like I would be trying to fit in so that Lisa would think that I was cool and worthy of being on her podcast. So I had chosen in advance that if she asked me, and of course she was not going to say the word, but if it came up, that's sort of where I stood. Like, I never wanted to do things out of peer pressure or so that people would like me. It had to bubble up because it felt authentically me, right? And of course that's going to change depending on our age. I like all these things that people say, like they abbreviate laughing my ass off and rolling on the floor. And I mean, younger kids speak in these bunch of letters and I don't know what they mean.
WTF.
Yeah,
I've said that on stage.
WTF, OMG. Like, if you actually say those things, like, I could say WTF. But when I think about it, I probably don't want to say, I wouldn't say what that is. Yeah. But the slang of just going, it's like, what the heck? So, do you see how complicated this all is?
I think at the end of the day, if we boil it back and pull it in to vibration, where are you coming from? That's the first starting place for me.
Yeah.
And then how will it impact who you're sharing it with? Because if it's unconscious, where you're coming from, meaning you're not mindful of how that will be experienced, you might be causing a disservice. I never want to do that. I want to only uplift and help people to elevate. But I have been known in my coaching one-on-one sessions to interrupt the pattern with you don't want to hear it. But you also have to remember, I taught self-defense for 20 years, and I had to play the role of the bad guy with the suit on. So I used a lot of profanity.
But look what we just did. We made profanity something a bad guy does.
But yes, you're right. But my point was this. I knew that if I could shut them down emotionally with words, I could get them. But if I could teach that person to withstand and not be disrupted or offload because someone's saying, you are a and I'm going to, right? I used those words frequently as service. You see the intention. It was pure service and love.
To help them not to shut down in those situations.
You guys are being really beautiful to saying, hey, I don't hold judgment, right? And that's the next thing is, why judge? There's one particular speaker who I like a lot. And he is really genius in his delivery and his mastery and his leadership. He cusses way too much for my liking, but I've actually tuned that out.
I have the same thing. There's a girl I follow.
Because I would miss out.
She says it so much. I don't hear it anymore. I just tune
But
it
we
out.
want the other part that we love about them. So we've learned how to filter and not judge. So those are some of my big takeaways on this.
This girl that I'm thinking of,
And I want to
I've
share
actually heard
these.
her say things in front of her children, and I've been like, but it's so she's younger. It's not even on the list of bad words for her what she says. So that's like super interesting.
Totally.
But if we didn't have society telling us that any word was bad or any word was good, we wouldn't be able to have any judgments. It's all coming from the outside. So for me, my responsibility, if I am a great teacher and if I am a great leader, is to speak in a way that helps people to stay open, even if it's their fault that they have the judgment. Not their fault, but maybe they can't let go of the judgment. Can I speak in a way that I'm still able to help them? And that's really what I want to do.
I'm just sharing some of the sweet comments coming through. Here's one about you. No, Sabrina would never say that. Thank you for all this great feedback, and for anybody who's joining us live on Facebook. There's some of the responses are a little bit longer, but this is a great topic, obviously.
I can't wait to read all of these.
Cheryl says, I love how transparent you both are. Just be authentically you. I love your vibration. I love that, Cheryl, because I think it really, truly is about the vibration.
Yeah, because I've been in spiritual gatherings where we have a meditation, and at the end we go around and people share, and I've seen people just so transformed, and the words out of their mouth are like, oh my freaking God. So I could say, wait a minute, you just said the F-bomb.
And God.
And you said God's name in vain. But that wasn't what they meant.
No.
That's not
so
what
we
they
shouldn't
meant.
Judge.
They were just saying, that's all they were saying. They were trying to express, and they were using the words that for them said that. I get laughed at when I teach my fitness class face to face. Turns out I say, oh crap, a lot.
You do?
I do it. When I mess up, I go, oh crap. And that's so dorky, but that's kind of what I say.
We have no interest in being provocateurs and being, rude or anything like that. But we're not here to judge at the same time. We just want to be authentically ourselves, like you guys are talking about. Don't be the imposter. Be you. Be your truth. If those words come up in your conversation and you feel good using them, then let your vibration rule.
And know that if another person has a reaction to it, it is their reaction.
It is.
You are never responsible for someone else's reaction, and at the same time, being aware of someone else's judgment and framing on words. You could choose to speak differently if you want to around those people.
I do. I want to say things in such a way that it helps somebody feel open and safe. I want to speak in such a way that it inspires people, empowers people. Now, if a word that maybe is considered like on the wonky side, and that helps, then by all means, I'm going to use the word. So I'm just going to do my very best to be as conscious as I can be and be mindful of habits, of things that I learned when I was a kid. And maybe I'm just using words that I've outgrown, and they're not vibrationally in alignment with me. So this has been a really good debate, and I've learned a lot from it.
Yeah, we've been up late a few nights.
Laughing.
Laughing as usual, and pondering this.
Yeah.
It's
good to think about.
Taking a stand. I would never take a stand like, we don't speak that way. Aww.
Hi, Kim.
Kim.
She probably digs this conversation.
Kim Walsh-Phillips. She's
you guys
amazing.
need to know Kim. She is one of our dear friends.
And today is her 10-year anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Your 10-year anniversary is Winston's 10-year-old birthday.
That's so awesome. Yeah, very, very cool. So, good stuff, gang.
Words don't define you, and other people's reactions to words do not define them.
Beautiful.
It's all about the feeling and the emotion and the energy and the love. Energy can't be pronounced. It's just grunts. right? It's really just us grunting.
That means let's go out on a date. It's date night. This has been our date night with you. So thank you for being here with us.
It's been freaking great.
It's been freaking awesome, man. Rad. This has been sick.
I can't wait to read all your comments because
Totally.
I'm so interested in how you guys handle this, especially those of you that have kids and you know that your kids speak in a completely different language than we do.
Thank you so much. Love to all. Have a flickeringly beautiful evening. That's great, Deja. You know, we can make up our own words and they can mean whatever the heck we want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So keep on just loving. Come from your heart. Be in alignment as much as possible with doing good, being of service to others, loving on the sweet people in your lives and helping those in need. You know, that's what this is about. This is why we come together.
Making people feel loved.
Yeah.
Make people feel loved and seen.
Nice. I see you. Okay, I'm going to take my beautiful wife out on a beautiful date. And we love you guys so much. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next week. This is an ongoing experience. 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern.
And just
And the
a
birthday
last
boy.
happy birthday to
Happy birthday,
Mr.
Winston. Happy anniversary, Kim. We'll see you all soon. Much love. And bye for now.
Bye.